The night is long in the captain's chair of the ESS Phobonautis. You had been woken up to the news of some priority transmissions, and were hopeful that it contained more good news from your bosses, the Council of Eberus. But as you look at the pair of messages in your hands, you feel a dull pressure settle in on your chest. This just got complicated. Welcome to Celestial Horizons, Operation Bloodhound, Part 2. As you are the commanding officer of the ESS Phobonautis, here are a few things you need to know. First, updates based on the decisions you made in Part 1. When faced with the decision about what to do with the offer of help from the Gate Network Administration, you overwhelmingly voted to accept their help and have them join up with you as escort ships. Just a few hours ago, the GNS John Paul and the GNS Imperator arrived. They are two Earth-made ships, a cruiser and a heavy cruiser respectively, and are actively searching for other threats.
To ESS Phobonautis, from GNS John Paul. Good to see you, Phobonautis. We will be approaching your location shortly. We have orders from the GNA to assist you in your search for the ESS Antigone. We've fallen into standard formation positions and will watch the starboard side of the battle group. Good luck and Godspeed.
To ESS Phobonautis, from GNS Imperator. Hello, Colonel Longstreet. We've heard a lot about you and are looking forward to seeing you in action. We are changing our course to match yours and will be here to assist you in the recapture of the ESS Antigone. Our railguns are armed, and we are prepared to fire on your command. Let's get this done and go home, yeah? Good luck out there, Colonel, and Godspeed.
You're still lacking the number and type of escorts that you need to have a fully functional battle group, but this is a good start. Having the John Paul and the Imperator on hand will make any combat engagement much safer for you and your crew. As they've been helping you search, you've been able to identify the two ships that have met up with the Antigone. One is a small destroyer, the other is a medium-sized cruiser. Both are of Hypatian make. Your ships are all bigger and less maneuverable than theirs, but you dramatically outclass them in terms of firepower. Regarding the active saboteur situation, there was a close split regarding how intensive an approach you wanted to take to securing your ship. However, the side with the slim majority opted for a more subtle approach, the goal being to avoid disrupting ship operations as much as possible. Here are the courses of action we've compiled from your responses. Number 1. All system passwords have been changed and will be given to team members as they need to use them. Number 2. Security has been placed on high alert and are setting up increased patrols and targeting searches. These targeted searches will include a roll call for all department-affiliated crew members, as well as a brief lockdown of that region. The hope is that these two things will be minimally disruptive, while hopefully catching other saboteurs off guard. At the very least, changing the passwords will help you narrow down who is responsible for leaking them in the first place. Meanwhile, security is trying to gain access to the communicator of the captured saboteur, though breaking its encryption may be impossible. Speaking of the captured saboteur, she's still refusing to cooperate. Your teams aren't confident they'll get much out of her, but have requested help from the Eberus Station Law Enforcement Division in identifying her. They're currently running facial recognition programs and DNA tests. These security efforts have yet to turn up additional saboteurs, but they also have only just begun. With time, it will be difficult for any extra people on board to slip by unnoticed. The next major update involves two messages that you got in the last few hours. The first message goes as follows.
To ESS Phobonautis, from the Council of Eberus. Colonel Longstreet, your updated mission directives are as follows. 1. The CSD has promised to send 2 ships, the CSD Catapult and the CSD Kingfisher, to assist you. They are currently en route. You are to engage the ESS Antigone before it reaches the Isarian Gap, even if those ships have not arrived. 2. You are not authorized to fire weapons against the ESS Antigone in an offensive capacity, but you may use weapons in a defensive capacity. 3. You are authorized to use weapons in both an offensive and defensive capacity against the 2 ships joining the ESS Antigone. We are continuing to gather information regarding the hijacking of the Antigone, and will send you any information that we receive. We're counting on you, Colonel. Good luck, and Godspeed.
Contrast that with the following message you got from the hijackers of the ESS Antigone.
To ESS Phobonautis, from ESS Antigone. To the commanding officers of the battle group currently pursuing our vessel. We have 24 of your crew members on board. Please be aware that any attempts to capture, damage, or otherwise detain our vessel will result in the untimely deaths of these crew members. We do not wish to hurt them, and we hope that all of them will one day be able to return home safely. But we are not afraid to execute them to make our point clear. Do not attempt to close the gap between our ships and yours. We highly suggest that you cease following us immediately to prevent any fatal misunderstandings.
So they finally decide to communicate with you and turn this hijacking situation into a hostage situation. The council wanted you to close the gap and end this now, but the hijackers made it clear that doing so would be fatal to the people on board. You have a decision to make about this situation. Do you follow the council's directive and try to engage the Antigone? Doing so will consume a lot of your fuel and may result in the deaths of the captive crew members. Do you hold off, continuing to tail the Antigone and its escorts while not getting any closer? Doing so will allow the 2 CSD ships to catch up to you, expanding your fleet size, but the Antigone will reach the Isarian Gap, where it will be harder to deal with in the future. Or do you call off the whole endeavor here and now to not risk lives? Or do you do something else entirely? You have an opportunity to reply to the hijackers, though it's curious that they have still not identified who they work for and what they want. It appears that their end goal is possession of the Antigone itself. At some point they implied that they'll be giving the hostages back, but then again, you have no guarantee of that. They are trying to buy themselves time. For what purpose? You're not sure, but you're certain that your job will only get more difficult once they're in the asteroid belt. But you'd also rather not be the person in charge of the mission where all of the hostages died. As you think about this dilemma, you've got another resource available. The Council of Eberus has given you connection details to be able to communicate with the renegade on board the Antigone, who is continuing to resist and fight and kill hijackers. Rook, as he has called himself, has rescued 1 other crew member and evaded capture. Not only that, but he was responsible for those signal bursts that help you locate the Antigone in the first place. He has emphasized that he's not looking to do any thrilling heroics, however. He is on board the Antigone with significant combat experience. He seems highly trained and very capable, and that makes him an incredibly valuable asset. Do you have a message for him? Anything you'd like him to try and do, or anything else you'd like to say? In the description below, there is a link that will take you to a short survey. It will ask you what you want to do about the instructions from the Council and the hostage message, as well as what kind of things you want to say to Rook. We'll go through and look at the common threads between the answers we receive and craft the official response of Colonel Longstreet using your ideas. This form closes on Monday, November 29th at 11:59 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Operation Bloodhound Part 3 releases on Wednesday, December 1st. Be sure to check out Midnight Sentry, the podcast that reflects both your actions here and the actions of the Council of Eberus, our Patreon group. Given from the perspective of messages from Rook to the Council of Eberus, It releases weekly for general audiences on Thursdays. As you consider your options, good luck and Godspeed.